Hello and welcome to it. This is a Chit Chat with G-Wise and I'm your host, G-Wise. I'm glad that you could take your time to be a part of this podcast today. And when you see this podcast, just know it's all about inspiration, business, marketing and sales, and of course, tourism as well. We give you all those details on this podcast. We talk also about branding, self-branding. We talk about financial issues also. So we bring to you people that will help you, stabilize financially in your life. We take you around Lusaka and Zambia in general to give you what is it about tourism that you get to know in terms of, Victoria Falls, lodges, accommodations, just in general. You find it right here on this podcast. We also talk about food because we love to eat. So we give you everything about food. And also one of the biggest industries in Zambia, we're talking entertainment. So be it actors, actresses, we bring them on this show so that you can get to understand who they are, to get to know them and what they do. Musicians as well, anything. Then also we have what we call the influencers nowadays. So expect all those people to come through on this podcast. And of course, raw is what we call it. We call it raw because every conversation that we have here is raw. It's unscripted, and of course it's just direct to the point. We give you the way it's supposed to be. Okay, if we're going to call it a spade, we'll call it a spade on this show. So just make sure that you keep your kids off this channel because it's rated 16. Okay, yeah. And today I'm excited because if you're an artist out there, especially if you're an upcoming artist, please make sure that you pay particular attention to this show because you might learn a thing or two, especially where it comes branding is concerned. And if you are a legend in the game, you are an artist that has been in the game for a very long time, please watch this episode because it might just give you tips on how to bounce back, because my guest today has bounced back so many times, and because of that he's stayed relevant to the game, he's stayed relevant to the industry. If you want to know how to get endorsements, this is the guy that you need to just find time, meet and just have a chat with. Okay, so if I were you I wouldn't move a muscle. Today my guest is bflow.
Super fantastic and the video just fire in the wire, bflow, your desire taking you higher and higher. When me say chant it on G-Wise.
My brother, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks
man.
a lot, man. It's good to be on Chit Chat.
I'm telling you, man, I'm looking forward to this chat. I know you and I have got a lot to talk about.
Nice one.
Now,
I love it. I love the setup here. It's beautiful. It's relaxing. Even the name of the podcast is quite relaxing. It makes me feel free as a guest,
You know what? Feel free.
Yeah, thank you. I feel at home.
Yeah, man, feel free, feel at home. It's about raw conversations. We want to teach people out there. We want also people to know who you are. The problem is you look at a picture and you think you know somebody.
Yeah.
But take time to know who they really are.
And
you
the
get
process behind the brand that everybody tries to associate with.
Yes, and people judge you based on the song. Njedela, I know bflow. What do you want Njedela? But no, we want to understand who bflow is behind the music, behind everything else that you see. So, man, let's have a chat, man.
Nice one. Let's do it.
Let's do this. So to start with, I know people know you as an artist, but is there any other bflow apart from the bflow that we know? We know there's a married man somewhere. But tell us about the other side of you. I want to get to know about anything else that we don't know about you.
Okay. Nice one. So bflow, first of all, before there is bflow, there is Brian. So the name bflow was derived from praises and compliments that I would get when I was a teenager. Whenever I would participate in singing competitions,
That's a school,
those
that is.
those rap contests back then. So we used to have sometimes you would have these events like closing bash, or you would have something like leavers, not necessarily like leavers ball. They would call it, I think, like last assembly.
Yeah, the back to school bash, the closing bash, things like that.
Yes, all those bashes. So what would happen is during those events, I would, for some reason, find myself in a sport where I have to sing, I have to perform, and the like. So one time I was attending this singing competition that was held at a place called Broadway in Kabwe. And there was a man called Papa Miki. He's late now.
Was he a pastor?
No. Papa Miki was a Rasta man.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so we just used to call him Papa Miki or Miki Dread.
Okay.
So Papa Miki used to organize these events. What was he calling them? He was calling them Trod On. Yeah, Trod On. Yeah, so he would organize these talent competitions, and you would find people there like the likes of Damiano, the likes of General Ozzy. You would find people like the late Marvin B3, like competing.
Yes.
You would find people like bflow, yeah, like competing for different prizes, you know. And then we would also have like Music Crossroads come to Kabwe, and we would go and compete. So whenever I was competing at some of these activities, there would always be someone who would walk up to me and tell me, I love the way you flow. Like, I just love how you flow. Another person comes and they say, you've got a nice flow, huh? Another person just says that, well, flow away. So it was surprising to me because I was really young and I didn't know what flowing actually meant.
Okay.
So it was one of those where I would ask, like, how come when they're talking to other people, they say, I love the way you sing. But when they're talking to me, they're saying, I love the way you flow. So I was like, flow. So there's a lady I asked one time who was just from watching me, and she said, you have a nice flow. I said, what do you mean? So she tried to explain it to me in the context of like hip hop and dance hall, and how I've got this style of like tongue twisting, and how I arrange my, you know, my lyrics, and just the way I sit on the beat. She said, that's flowing. You know, you're literally like, there's a particular odor. It's like water, like you're flowing. I'm like,
the Victoria
interesting.
Falls.
That's nice. Like water is flowing in the Victoria Falls. I'm like, okay, that's nice. So
that's how the name came about.
Yeah, so I said, since my name is Brian, and everybody keeps saying they love my flow, I might as well just say Brian can flow. So Brian Flow.
Yeah, bflow.
Yeah,
awesome.
that's how the name came about. But in terms of who the person really is, very, very simple guy who came from very humble backgrounds.
Okay, define humble.
Well, yeah. So my parents, in fact, my mother, I talk mostly about my mother. You may notice this even in the music. Yeah. So my mom, I wouldn't say she came from humble backgrounds herself, but I do come from humble beginnings.
Yeah.
So what happened was my grandmother, after my mom and her siblings were born, later on when my grandfather died, my grandmother remarried and got married to an Irishman, a white man.
Okay.
Who came as an expatriate lecturer.
Okay.
He was called Mr. Byrne, Mr. Gregory Byrne.
Okay.
So he moved to Kabwe as an expatriate, and he was working for Nkrumah Teachers Training College at the time. Now it's a university.
Okay. Yeah, Nkrumah University.
Yeah, so they settled in Nkrumah area there. He married my grandmother. So my mother had him as the stepfather. So my mother and her siblings were raised by this Irishman together with my grandmother. And so they adopted that Irish name. So my mom was called Miriam Mulenga Byrne.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so all her siblings also used the same last name.
Okay.
And then after that, some things happened in the family.
Okay.
There was a situation where my grandfather, the Irish man, my step-grandfather, had to leave the country. And, and he left with some of my mother's siblings who were his children now with my grandmother. So here in the African context, we would say Makalad. So some of my colored uncles and aunties had to live with my my grandpa, my step grandpa.
Yes.
And they went back to Ireland without really like us knowing like how they left. It was one of those things that happened during like school times where he's going to drop off everyone at school, and then in the process he gets his children, and then they bounce, they go to England because of some things that transpired.
Okay.
So now after that, life became different for them. And then by the time I was born, life obviously wasn't easy for my mother. So for me, I had to start from scratch. It wasn't really like I was born in a family where like there was, you know, all this like white privilege that my mom had as a result of the stepfather, but I was born at a time when whereby
when the stability was the goal, like we need to be
Uh-huh.
stable now.
So in Kabwe, from what my grandmother used to tell me, there was even a time I think I even overheard where I would hear even like neighbors make fun of my grandmother. Say, oh, benze banakwatilwa kuli muzungu manje onani
Manje.
babutika,
Oh,
whatever,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
like there were. It was at a time when there was like a lot of struggle in the family. So
Yeah,
that's the
okay.
time I was growing up. So for me, I didn't grow up in that privilege. So even when I tell my story on songs, I talk about my relationship with my mother and the struggles that we had with my mother, who was really trying her best to make ends meet. And
Let's talk about your dad at that
yeah,
point.
yeah. So I'm just about to switch to say I didn't really have a relationship with my father.
Okay.
And I have nothing much to say about him,
Okay.
other than the fact that when I was growing up, for me it was a struggle. I was asking my mom, like, oh, so like, why don't we live with my father? Why don't I have like a relationship with my mom, with my dad? Can I go and see my? So they separated when I was really young, when I was like just about to turn like 2 years old. Or
2
something.
years. Oh,
Yeah.
that was really young.
So he married someone else, and yeah. So I kept asking my mom, like, I would like to. Can I go to see my dad? Can I? Like, I was ever bothering my mom, but in that moment, when I looked back now, after I grew up a bit, maybe I was like 16, 17. I started looking back and I realized that I was forcing
The
a
relationship.
Yes.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
I hear you. I personally grew up without a father as well. I never had to have that experience to see what or how it feels like to have a dad. You get a point. But I thank God that I had somebody that raised me, who was both a dad and a mother at the same time, but she was my grandmother.
Oh,
You
nice,
get a point,
nice,
yeah.
yes.
So I can relate, man.
Yeah.
Are you a dad now? Are you?
Yes, so I'm a dad now, and so
We'll talk about
this-
that soon. Yeah.
yeah.
Continue.
So that really affected me because what would happen is I go to school and I hear everybody talking about their dads.
Yeah.
So then everybody, or some people would be dropped off by their fathers at school. And then for me, I would have situations where sometimes, what do they call the person who comes to announce the list of those that haven't paid school fees? I think they used to call them the bazaar.
The bazaar,
or
yes,
the
the bazaar, the
accountant or
cashier, the
something.
accountant,
Yes,
in those
or for
like.
the school, yeah.
But
So they
somebody
would
from
come.
accounts, obviously.
Yeah. So they would come through and then make an announcement to say the following people haven't paid their school fees, go back home until you pay. So when I found myself in those situations, I would always ask, like, why is it? So I would ask my mom, like, why is it that for me, you don't say I'm in pisha for school, like, why can't I be in class? I really want to go to school. And my mom really was struggling to find a way to tell me. And so she would always just encourage me to say, my son, don't worry about today. It's not about where you are today, it's about where God has destined you to be. And then I would say, but my dad is alive, why can't he pay my school fees and like? And at the time my mother didn't even have a job, so it was quite a struggle. And at the time, actually, we were living under my grandmother's roof, so I can relate because I literally used to call my grandmother as mom.
Mom, yeah. I still call her up to now. You get a point.
Yeah.
I call her mom, trust
So
me.
at some point when I would hear my grandmother address my mother as Miriam, so I got so used to that such that I was thinking she was my sister, and I would also say Miriam.
Yeah, okay.
Then my grandma is the one I would call mom because I would hear my mom calling her mom.
Yes.
So like it was normal. Like everybody calls grandma mom, so even to me she was mom. Everyone calls my mother by Miriam, so even to me she was Miriam.
Man.
Until a time when now she got me and we went to live like somewhere, and that's the time now I had to learn to call her mom. So that came like, I think I was like 11 years old or something.
There's a lot to learn from your story. Just there, I know we haven't even gone far with it, but there's a lot to learn from there. First of all, now that you're a dad, are you present in your child's life? How many kids do you have?
I'm telling you, one.
One. Are you present? Boy or girl?
Girl.
Okay.
So her name is Malaika. So I am really, really, really present. And part of the reason is because of my own experience where there are things that I see and I'm like, how I wish I could just experience this. Even just moments where you're feeling low and you'd like to confide in your dad, or moments where you are feeling very happy and you'd like to share the happiness or the moment with your dad. I never had all that. So for me, even the time that my wife was expecting, I like to say when we were pregnant.
Yes. I mean,
it's ours.
Literally,
You know?
yeah.
So even that time, my wife will tell you that I never missed a single hospital visit where she had to go, whether it's for antenatal.
And
or
they treat men that go there first.
Yes.
So when you reach with your wife first, what could that
It's like there's a
Privilege,
priority
yes.
policy where they say if you come with your husband or if you come with the father of the child,
will treat
they
you.
will give you priority.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
So
I think
we're
I
given
remember
priority
one or two
treatment.
visits as well.
Oh yeah, 1 or 2.
Yes,
For
yes,
me,
yes.
I didn't have to miss any.
Mhm.
Yeah, so even when she would just have to go there, I would just wait even in the car, I would just make sure that I'm there to support. And even when the child was born, now postnatal and going for under 5 and the like, I make sure that I have to go because I literally just want to be there to experience even like every first in the in my child's life, where even just the day that the child is experiencing something or tasting a particular meal for the
For
first
the
time.
first time,
I
you want to be
literally,
there to
I literally
see-
tell the mother like before
Wait
wait for me. I
man.
come back so that I am there just to see the reaction. Like
Yeah.
I love it. So for
Big
me,
ups, man.
fatherhood is something I really really love. Between you and me, it's something I love even more than being a husband.
That's great. I think I enjoy that. I enjoy that. And then at some point, I found myself to be both the mother and the dad. You get a point? So I had to take up a lot of challenges. I had to take up to learn,
Yeah.
especially that there's a baby girl and there's a boy. So I had to learn how to treat both. And I think that's really helped me grow. So to hear you say that, man,
Yeah.
big
And
ups
you know,
yourself.
for baby girls, it's very, very important for them to have a relationship with their fathers.
Yeah.
Because you literally become the standard of
What she wants
what
in the-
she should expect, and also what she should condone or even
Yeah.
tolerate in society.
Yeah.
So if she sees the way you treat the mother is good, that's how she will expect to be treated. And also how you treat your daughter becomes the standard, such that if any other guy comes through and treats her a certain way, she won't tolerate. She'll be like, no,
no,
this
my
is not
father
how my
never-
dad.
he
Yeah, because
raised me,
you are
yeah.
the standard.
Yeah.
So it's very important to have a relationship
I
with,
like
with the
that,
girl
bro.
child. But
I
even
like-
the boys, because look at how now we have, for lack of a better term,
Junkies.
you know,
Yeah.
they need guidance. So the fact that you're involved in your children's life like that, I say thumbs up to you.
The
as well,
thumbs
man.
up to you too, man. It's a really it's something big. Then I've just seen a trend, yo. I think there are a lot of fathers now that are involved in their children's lives than the way it was before.
Yes, I agree. Our generation.
There are a lot of there are a lot of fathers now that are present
Yeah.
in their children's lives.
Don't you think the reason is because we are trying to correct a
They missed-
situation that we are coming from?
Check that, trust me.
I think that's what's happening right now.
Yo,
I think that's. Don't you think so, my brother?
definitely the
Yeah.
team agrees.
Yeah.
So now, your story. I want to get to a point where, at what point did you realize to say, you know what, I'm the man and I need to take up responsibility. I have a mother, been raised by a grandma, but now I'm a man and I need to take up certain responsibility.
Yeah.
At what point did you realize that?
I think I was 14. I think I was about 14 years old, and I was now looking at like my mother's struggles and what she would go through. And I don't know how I found myself being this advisor in my mom's life, where even when she was going
Advisor,
through things, yeah, she would literally come to me and say, "What do you think?" So she started trusting me at a very young age with information. There was even a time one time when I was now like turning 18, and she had called me in the living room for me to go and offer advice. They were having like a family meeting with her siblings or something, with other elderly people. So she called me in,
When
and everybody started saying that, no, tetumule itomo anamu no meeting and the like.
Chishan.
And then my mom said, "You don't know
No.
how wise no pun
my-
intended, wise."
Yeah.
Like, you don't know how wise my son is.
Is,
Just
yeah.
let him sit here. So I sat in there and then I offered my advice, and everybody was just like shocked. So after that time, I even remember there was a time when my mom was saying to one of my uncles, like, I'm just worried that if God was to take me away soon, my children, maybe they may suffer or need to be around, whatever. You know how mothers talk sometimes, like, I just literally want to give them the best life so that they won't have to suffer when I'm gone. And then my uncle said to her, you know, from that meeting that we had, I realized how wise Brian is.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't even worry. I think he's got a bright future.
Yeah.
So it literally brought us to like this point of trust. Yeah, so my mom trusted me at a younger age, and I realized that I'm a man and I needed to be there for my mother. And it made me also feel like I felt like society wasn't really fair to women, and so it put me in a place where I wanted to more like be like an amplification of a woman's voice because of my looking at my mother and seeing how much she was trying and the like. So I was like,
I'm really getting answers to why you're so involved in women issues now.
yes,
But yeah, tell your story,
so
man.
even becoming a musician now later on in life, the decision, I know people ask me like, so what inspired you to make the type of music that you make in terms of like the topics or the subjects?
But for me, where I'll take you is there's anything else. There's being a doctor, there's being a pilot, there's being a policeman, there's being anything that you want to be, but you chose music. Why?
Yeah.
I think that's why I'll take you.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So with the music again, I don't even know how it happened, but later I came to discover that I came from a music family. Though my mom's side, there wasn't like a lot of music. I can't trace back and look at anybody that was involved in music. But like my dad's side, though he wasn't present in my life, like I said, but there was like think musical genes there. So I later discovered that I was related to people like you remember Anna Mwale?
Anna Mwale,
yes.
This is
So,
yeah,
legends. So yeah, like the Mwale sisters, all those were like connected to my dad's family, like they were like my dad's cousins. One of them even used to back the Great Witch Band, and then the Great Witch Band also there was my father's cousin, first cousin, by the name of Chris Mbewe. And then there was also Willie Mbewe, the famous Ras Willie.
Ras Willie, yes,
the late Ras Willie was my dad's cousin.
Wow.
Then in the Adonai gospel singers, I have a cousin there as well.
Oh.
So like there was just music all over.
These things come from fire. Okay.
Yeah. So now what used to happen was for us when we are home in my grandmother's house, we were watching black and white TV, and the national broadcaster would be bringing, music, different songs on TV. You see the likes of Victor Kachaka, It Is It Turu. You see people like Akitiv, It Is It. You see people like Ballad Zulu on TV. Yes. And so for me, what used to happen was, whenever I was just from watching any of that music, I would run outside and stand on whatever platform is there. If there's like a table outside, I would just stand there, close my eyes, and start imagining that I am Ballad Zulu or Victor Kachaka. And I start singing whatever I was watching on TV, I'm imagining. That's what used to happen. So one day while I was trying to do that, there was a woman who used to live next door, and she was standing right behind me. I didn't know that she was there.
She was there. You had an audience in short.
So I was singing and I'm singing, and then she moves and comes in front of me. By the time I'm coming to open my eyes, I just find her and she's clapping.
Yeah.
And she's clapping.
That was your first audience.
That was my very first fan.
Yeah.
And then she said, "Wow, you can sing. You may be a musician." You see? So like that was the first time I ever heard
spoke in the future. Yeah.
Yes. A musician, and at the time I was like 8 years old or something. Yeah. So brush it aside, but then continued like doing this music thing in terms of like me just mimicking whoever I was seeing on TV. So now what started happening is by the time I was in grade 7, I'd be seated in class. The teacher leaves instructions and says, no one should be making noise when I leave the class. Monitress, make sure that everybody is behaving. No one should be making
quiet,
noise.
Yes.
I'm like, okay. I sit on my desk. I'm alone. The teacher comes back and asks for a list of noisemakers. I'm appearing on the list. I'm like, how? Then, when they are reading out the names, when they reach, when they get to
something else,
when they get to my name, in brackets, the monitor or the monitress has written singing and drumming. So I never even used to realize that even when I'm seated, I'm quiet, I would be singing and other people are hearing me.
Okay.
So I was get punished all the time, singing and drumming in class. I'm like, what time does this happen? So when I was in 8th grade, a lot of my fellow pupils in class now started coming to me. Whenever there's no teacher, they'll just come to my desk and say, Timbireko.
Yeah.
Like sing for us that song by Bob Marley, or that song by who, that song by who. And I would just be there singing for them. And so I became famous at school for singing other people's music. I would literally sing like all the to my hit songs of the time. And because of those punishments, I said, it seems I'm ever getting punished for singing.
For this, so I need to take it serious.
Musician, you know?
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how I found myself now going to participate in those talent contests I was talking about.
Okay. Now I'm looking at a transformation of music. Yeah. From having records, CDs. I know there was those days even for video, VHL and everything. At what point, and cassettes, you get a point. At what point, you know, with a pen and you're doing, trying to rewind, At what point, funny enough, do you know one of the reasons why we would use a pen to rewind or a pencil is because using the system itself took up a lot of battery. You know how would when you are they used to come with batteries, right?
Yes.
So like,
yes. And then it had a rewind button,
yes, it had rewind and
we
forward.
rarely used it.
Yes, because we wanted to save on battery.
Okay.
So those days, because they are Jamataiga, where you buy those batteries. Yes. I came to understand later on, like, I think I had a chat with my uncle on one of the funerals. I was like, why do you think that was? It was like, anyway, just was saving a battery. You get a point? And I was like, that was the logic. When something is playing, then use that. It's faster, first of all, and then you save on battery.
Because my music career literally started on those tapes. So what happened was my mother finally got like a radio. We moved to Serenge. She got a job in Serenge when I was 10. So when we moved to Serenge, my mother got a radio which had like side A and side B.
Yes.
First, it only had like one. Then when she got one that had side A and side B, I was like, okay, so this one has got a record, the red button. So what would happen is whatever is playing in side A can be recorded side B, where there's a record button.
Mix matters.
So now what happened was one day my mother had a big collection of reggae music.
Yeah.
So Bob Marley, she'll be playing like Bob Marley.
I want us to talk about Bob Marley,
or Peter Tosh, get up, stand up for your right. So when this music is playing and this other side is recording, and you're standing there, if you start singing along, your voice might be heard this side.
This side, yes.
So I started hearing my voice in there. Then one time I tried out something else where there's nothing playing on side A, but you're just recording
on side
B. And then I recorded my own voice. As I hearing it, it was sounding a bit different from when I'm talking. I'm like, okay. So I started singing those to my Bob Marley songs. I kept trying. I made my mom listen to it. I got into trouble a bit because it's like I recorded on a tape where there was other music. So when you record this, it's like overwriting or something. So we did all that. So that's how I literally started doing music. So my mother started buying me blank tapes.
Blank tapes.
So that I could be recording on those blank tapes. And now I started collecting instrumentals on radio.
Talk about being present.
So when a DJ is playing on radio and there's that kind of instrumental that's playing in the background,
you record that kind of
you're just praying that asakambe moche kadile kaleko katariko,
so that you record.
Because kamba DJ you stop it and then you come and sing pari kameka.
So you said your mom literally bought for you blank tapes. We're now talking about being present. You get up and supporting one's career. Yo, big ups to your mom, man. Mom, we salute you. I salute you. So at what point did you get into a professional studio now to say, okay, let me now record? Because I know from there that was like, okay, this is a decision that I've made. And what song was it? What was the first ever?
So when I was 15, I was waiting for my grade 9 results. I think I was 14, turning 15, waiting for my grade 9 results for me to get into grade 8. And I was doing a research around Kabwe, like how come in Kabwe there are no studios? We kept hearing about studios like there was a studio called Cypher. It was very popular in Lusaka. Cypher Studios. That's where people like Kanji, people like Red Linso, Ranel, MC Wabuino, Bob Mabege, Jerry Fingers, all started their careers there. So we used to hear about Cypher. And then Cypher, when we were in Kabwe, we would literally rehearse all the time because we wanted an opportunity. One day in Kapande check Cypher because they used to charge per hour.
Yes.
So we didn't want to miss that where you're like, I have to make sure that I'm ready.
Within 1 hour, everything must be done.
Even the way we used to rehearse music back then, it wasn't like the way we record today where chorus maimba, you leave it and you start perfecting the verse, then the same chorus that you had already sung, you just move it like you're looping it and the like. There it was like we were one take artists, so you had to rehearse proper.
Chorus nikuimba katatu.
So we were ready for cypher. Then I started doing a research. I was like, but since I don't have the money to go and pay him for like an hour or 2 hours at cypher, where can I record music in Kabwe? So I kept researching. Then I met a friend of mine who told me that, oh, there's a man called Emi Roots.
Emi Roots. Oh, okay.
So Emi Roots, they're famous for I Am a Factor. So Emi Roots had a studio called Kwanu Nkwanu. It was in a place called Ngungu.
Your place is your place. Interesting. Kwanu Nkwanu ndala. Kankare uri kuti. Kwanu Nkwanu. Wagona kuti mairo ukwerera kwanu. Kwanu Nkwanu ndala.
So it's literally like saying I don't need to go to Cypher or Roma side in Lusaka. I can just stick at home.
Home is home ndala.
So we walked with a friend of mine to go and see the studio. Now that the challenge there was, the only difference was that if you're recording with Emi Roots, it means that your music will be on cassette, on a tape.
Okay.
But if you're going to record in Lusaka, to be on CD.
Okay.
So Lusaka, we knew it for CD. In fact, CD, imagine that. Nyimbo yako ikankala pa CD, izambo vika kona kaja ka nice. But ngati pa cassette, sizangala na I don't know whether we used to call it the Twitter. I think we're saying like at nyimbo zatu zapa tape zilibeka Twitter zilibeka.
Even the direct.
So we went and paid Emi Roots like a very minimal amount where you just ask your mom like if I can just go to the studio. So now kuli Emi Roots kweve, the recording was when you are recording a song, it's that description I was giving where there's no resting. Ukalema vizamvi kati walema. Ukapema vizanze kati wapema. Whereby what we used to hear about Lusaka studios was that in Lusaka when you can do takes, and also if you were breathing heavily somewhere they were using cool edits. So bazacho someone my breathing that's what they were calling mixing, So I was like so it's a we had to rehearse on and learn the breathing techniques nimbo popemira ni party.
How you remember all this is just really surprising, man, because but I can't remember the details as much as you are putting them, man.
So we had to do that. I went and recorded a song called it was called, but it's funny because there's a page by that name. It was called Mweban too.
Are you serious? Okay. What was it about?
It was actually like it was a song where I was encouraging people to be ready for the second coming of Christ.
Okay.
So like live.
It was a gospel, conscious song.
A conscious gospel song, like live a life that is pleasing in the eyes of God, so that even when that time comes, you will be ready for the second coming of Christ.
Okay.
Like,
do you still have that song?
There's a guy called Ray. Ray, if you're watching this, Ray, I need my tape. I gave it to Ray so that he could listen to it, but I don't know whether he lost it or he still has it somewhere.
Okay. Yeah. Then your rise to fame, after all this story that you've been through, what you went through, what was that point that you say, okay, manje apana blower? Which song took you to that point?
Okay, so what happened was while I was still in Kabwe, when I was now in my 12th grade, I realized that whether I liked it or not, I needed to move to Lusaka. It was inevitable at the time. There were no studios in Kabwe, literally none, bro, none. Even the biggest artists that we had in Kabwe. By the way, Kabwe has produced a lot of artists that you might not know. The likes of Nathan Nyirenda, the likes of Emi Roots, the likes of General Ozzy, the likes of Israel, the likes of... There are so many... Mainza, Lily T. I know a lot of people don't know this information because they just look at them like, obviously,
Lusaka, yes, but they
came
from there.
These people came from Kabwe. Yeah, so... Now, what happened was all those people used to record from Lusaka. In fact, a lot of them had moved to Lusaka. So when I was in my 12th grade, now at this point I was the head boy, and the head boy needs to be well behaved. So a head boy can't be leaving school and just disappearing anyhow. So it was Fridays that I had to utilize for me to make a trip to Lusaka. So you know how Friday.
So in Lusaka you're coming to literally do music and you're still in school.
Yes. So Friday.
Friday
there was no prep.
Did your mom know about that?
Yes, my mom knew
that Fridays you did school for music.
Yeah, but I would tell her that I would lie to her that sorry I lied. I would lie to her that my uncle, who was like one of her favorite brothers, has called for me to go to Lusaka a weekend.
And by then, phones were not that much that they would cope. I mean, but Africa, oko.
Yes, exactly. So I would just like
You
start.
see how beautiful it was back then.
Nakwela ka bus naenda ku Lusaka, and I would literally sleep at my uncle's house.
Okay.
So I would arrive on a Friday. I would get on a bus from Kabwe to Lusaka, maybe like by 13 hours or 14 hours, get to Lusaka, and then go straight to my studio. So I would go to a studio like Sling Beats. Sling Beats was in Mporokoso Road. It's funny how I even remember these things, because even the owners of these studios, they laugh at me when I tell them that I remember when Sling Beats was at number 17 Porokoso Road in Charleston. My memory is that it's that good. So I would go to Charleston, try and record something at Sling Beats. I was trying to audition actually because I couldn't afford to pay. So I was trying to audition because now I learned that, since you can't afford to pay, you don't even have to pay. You can sign a recording contract with a studio. So at
awesome.
Kulusaka kulima contracts. So I started looking for that recording
Like now
contract.
you become a member of that studio.
Yes.
Those days.
So now I started going to naenda ku Kula, naenda ku Roma Side, naenda ku Sling Beats. At that time now Cypher was even like closed.
Okay.
So these studios I would be going there to try and audition, but all of them never paid me an ear because apparently they had already had like a roster of artists, big artists that they were working with. So even if you try, they're like, no, we already have enough artists. So it never really worked, but I would just still come to Lusaka like that. And then in the process of doing all that research, there was a man who came to Kabwe who I met accidentally.
Accidentally?
Yeah, I found myself at a talent show which was organized at a place called Sacred Heart in Kabwe. I was performing there. My friend Damiano, you know Damiano?
Damiano, yes,
yeah,
yes.
Damiano
yes.
was there as well, and he was watching me perform this show that we had organized, and it had flopped. We
Yeah.
only had like 3 people in the audience. But I performed like I was performing for thousands of people.
Yeah.
So this man had just moved from Lusaka to Kabwe. He was a lawyer. And he was in the corner
Adamba,
just watching. Then after I finished, he came and greeted me. He was like, "You are really, really good. But how come you were performing like you're performing for hundreds of people and there were only 3 people in the audience?" I said, no, because I value the fact that these 3 people came from home just to come and watch me, an unknown artist.
Yes.
So I just value them and I had to give them the best things. Like, I love your spirit. My name is Ignatius Chongwe. I'm a lawyer by profession, but my friends call me Lawyer Without Borders. Write down my number because I didn't have a phone at the time. Write down my number. Get in touch if you can use a payphone or whatever. Get in
just
touch.
get in touch, yeah.
And let's link up one of these days. We have a drink. So I knock off from school one time. I call him. He says, "Oh, come to this place." We went, met up, and he bought a drink. Started asking me about music. Then he started telling me about artists that he knows because he grew up in Lusaka. So he tells me, "I know JK. He was my opposite neighbor in Kawata."
Yo.
I'm like, JK. You mean you know JK?
Hey.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, so all those are like my friends. I know DJ Fresh. I know this one. I know this one. I'm like, this is the man to know. So we became very close with that man. And before I knew it, because of how passionate I was about music, he decided to become a music promoter in Kabwe and said, "You know what? I'm going to become a music promoter because I realize that apart from you, there are so many other talented people here that we can maybe try to help in one way or another." So he organized something called something they were calling at History in the Making, remembering September 11th. It was on September 11th, 2003.
Okay.
So like remembering that September 11th in 2001, yeah, but this was, So they themed it like that, like history in the making. So on this day when such a disaster happened, but you guys will be making history by doing something where like we do auditions.
Something positive, yes.
And so his plan was he called a lot of artists from Kabwe, and I remember we gathered like 200 artists at a place called I remember Njanji. In Kabwe. And while we were gathered there, these 200 artists were seated in that place.
200.
And guess what happens? The man shouts, "I've got a surprise for all of you." Someone important is about to walk in. Then JK walks in, bro.
Yo.
I was like, wow. Our superstar. Because that time, JK was like the only one of the few superstars that Zambia had.
Yes.
Like, wow. He even had dreadlocks.
Oh,
Like, wow,
okay.
JK. And it was his birthday. It was JK's birthday. So he was coming from the Copper Belt, apparently. Then he stopped in Kawono having that big meeting where the man was announcing that I'm going to organize these auditions, but I only want eight people
from the
that will
200.
feature on a compilation. So you guys are going to compete on 11th September. Then JK passes through. We were even given an opportunity to give him a gift. It was, I think, a wall clock. Happy birthday. And then we asked him some questions like, so how much does it cost to set up a studio? Because here in Kabwe, we don't have a studio. He gave us some advice. And he even introduced us to his friend. He said, oh, this one is my friend. His name is Wilson. So apparently that person later came to be known as Wile.
How we did?
Serious? That was before we all heard of Wile.
Yes.
I just said, this is my friend, he was my classmate, so I'm just from picking him up on the Copper Belt and going with him to Lusaka. Kanshi was also going to launch his career.
And look at that relationship, how it has grown. Those guys are still like...
Yes.
Okay.
So from there, that man organized this thing, and then it so happened that I appeared in the top 8.
Wow.
After auditioning. And then I was given the opportunity to be the first one to go to Lusaka to record. So I recorded my very first song in January of 2004 professionally with Romacide Studios, with TK. It was my choice. I said, I wanted Romacide. Yeah, so it took me to TK. I recorded a song called Osalila. And then we gave it to DJ Fresh because he was friends with the lawyer. DJ Fresh started playing it on Radio Phoenix. I played it here and there, but then I realized that it wasn't playing on the other radio stations. So I was thinking like, so we are limited in terms of promotion. We don't know how to do this. But then I was now about to move from Kabwe to Lusaka for me to come and start officially. And then it just so happened that the man got transferred to Kitwe before the other 7 people could record. So that's how that project died. But for me, I was lucky I had that Kawan song.
The lucky one.
So that Kawan song is what I now used to move around studios in Lusaka, asking people, listen to me, listen to this, this is my demo. Can you sign me up? Can you sign me up? And I remember being rejected by so many studios. And that was a very difficult moment for me because I ended up becoming so desperate that in 2006, I found myself even just going for what was known as Celtel Star Search. I can mention it because Celtel doesn't exist anymore. Yeah, so it was called Celtel Star Search in 2006. I participated in that. And what I did was I left Lusaka and went back to Kabwe because Lusaka competition was stiff. So I said, I think nkaenda ku Kabwe.
Celtel, I remember that Star Search.
Yeah.
I do, yeah.
So I went and participated in Kabwe and I got to the second round. Then when I was about to get to that round where now you go to Lusaka to go and compete at national level, then they kicked me out. They eliminated me, and I remember that day I was very furious because I was like, these people don't know talent. How come? So the judges were TK, Jane Osborne, and Mutamula Mwale. So I never liked TK from that moment. I was like, these people zona because I felt like I felt no that time.
Oh, that time before.
So that
was
his first time seeing me. So I was like, he's harsh. This same judge, this same TK. I love his music. No. Actually, you're right. I had recorded with him that demo.
Yes, guys, that's what I'm saying.
Yes. No, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry, I missed that.
No.
So I had recorded with him. So to me, to him, my face was familiar. But it's like he couldn't remember because it was like 2 years before. It was like 2 years before, and he had rejected me in terms of giving me a contract. When I tried. So now I was like, I need to check my auditions. I mean, maybe this would be my gateway to fame or whatever. So I remember then being interviewed by Kaliwa. Kaliwa was the presenter.
The Black Stallion.
The Black Stallion.
May so rest in peace. He
Yeah.
gave me a platform, man. I'm so grateful to that man.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he was interviewing me. He's like, you look like you are just about to go to Lusaka. Now you've been eliminated. How do you feel? And I remember telling him, you know what? The only person who holds my destiny is God, not Celtel. He was doing it alongside a lady called Kutemba. And I said, no. Celtel can't determine my future. I will still make it in this music industry, even bigger than the people who are winning. Anyway.
Okay, that's a story, man.
Yeah, man. So
that's
then,
a story.
Like a year later now, like 2007, I decided to start like my journey again. Because I had almost like given up. Then I told myself like, okay, 2007 is my year.
Yeah.
So now I like started pushing again, going to studios. Now what I started doing was I would just sit outside the studio. When I find someone like MC Wabwino is recording, I hear what he's recording inside. Then when he comes outside, like take a break. I'm just busy listening from outside. He comes outside and I tell him, big man, I heard what you were recording. That's a really nice song, and I have got an idea for you. What if you also added so na so na so na so? He goes like, fana ndio mkali, why? Ngena mu studio bwera. So I enter the studio. He's like, when's wakamba bwanji? So naimbako imbako. He's like, mfana ni mkali, like aimbemo mwamene umunimo.
Serious.
So I got featured by MC Wabwino, got featured by Chocolate, I got featured by Bob Mabege, got featured by MKV, by a lot of artists who just like hear of me.
Yes.
If I feature on one song, this artist plays
tells
it for
the
the
other
friend.
one, yes,
The one says, nikandanya ka. Nikamfana check up
Okay.
kawe. So kama karache panja pa studio. Kaitane, chan. At that time now I had the Roger phone.
Yeah.
So benzo nitumira che bwanji ndiwe tamvera ati unaimba munimbo ya ndani au maimba moshe. So bwanji bwera ku studio uimbe. I would get excited, I just sing. Nakaruma kaenda kumakawo katavuta guys feature. Others would just come in to just put an intro. So like I would just put intros on other people's songs and the like. So now eventually what happened was I helped a certain artist. I was co-writing an album for Unique. And I was also co-writing an album for T-Boy. And I was also co-writing an album for Soya.
Okay.
So now Soya...
Ghost writing?
Yeah, like kind of, actually,
okay.
because I wasn't credited even like on the album cover. Say I was
That's
ghostwriting.
big, yo.
I was ghostwriting.
There are a lot of people that don't get the credit they deserve when
So
it comes to ghostwriting.
T-Boy had an album in 2006 called Amama. It wasn't like a commercial success, but I ghost wrote that album.
You're serious? Big ups, man.
Yeah. So I did some ghostwriting, I think, for like Chocolate, for a number of like artists back then. So now one time, Sawyer wanted a recording contract after he started his career. So he went to Roma side and was looking for a recording contract and asked TK like, I'd like you to listen to my stuff. So TK listened to like 7 songs. Then when he came across the song where I was on the intro, he waited for my verse and I did my verse. Then he asked him, he was like, who is this one? Then he says, it's just a guy called bflow. I'm giving you a condition that the only way I will sign you is if you can come with him so that I can sign you together and you'll be singing the two of you. You become like Chakadimas and Pliers.
Serious?
So now Sawyer hides this information from me. Doesn't tell me that TK akusakira. But the friend that he went with meets me at a place called Zambian Port somewhere in town. This guy, he was known as Paradox.
That's the truth. He's a truthful guy.
So Paradox comes and whispers to me and says, bflow, what is what TK arak for Hassan? I'm like, no way, TK. The way I fear TK and the way I don't like TK after
because
that.
He judged me wrongly that side.
I'm like, no, TK can't look for me. Then MKV also was good friends with TK. Yeah. I think they even learned music.
It's changed to, what's his name now?
Mubanga.
Is Mwanga? No, he's using Manasseh.
Manasseh, yeah. His real name is Mubanga Kaluva.
Yes. He's now Manasseh because he does gospel now. That's MKV.
So
right?
Yeah. So Manasseh was good friends with TK. They literally grew up together. And so when I featured on his song and I also helped him write another song, he went and sampled it TK. Then TK was like, "Who's this boy?" He says, just a young guy called bflow. Then TK says, "I've been hearing about him from other people who've been bringing to my CDs. I need to meet him. Una namba yake." Says, tingamtumile pamene hapa likanimutumile. So MKV calls me, Manasseh now, calls me and says, hold on for someone here. So they were somewhere in Chilanga. Then TK now starts talking to me. Yo, what up? This is TK from Roma side. I've been hearing a lot about you, man. Your music is so dope, man.
I like the way you're making it.
You need to come to the studio, Roma side in Roma, house number 13B, Ngwezi Road. If you can come through, I can sign you,
man.
Man.
Upstairs down, right?
Yeah. Like I can make you a star, man. You're the next big thing. Trust me. Then he starts talking about like these other people who used to do like raga music and dance music in Zambia. This one got nothing on you. Dan got nothing on you. You're the best, man. You need to come and meet me. I'm like, seriously. I think like it's MKV making up like the TK
like
voice.
this,
I'm like, are you serious? So now I went to visit a friend who was at Nipa. And I broke down and started crying. I'm like, Vera, TK, kunitumia phone. No come back ansakira niende ku studio. So now what happened was, while they were talking with MKV there, MKV says, inesinga kupasa azankala artist wanga cause nene nsigula studio. So suzamuona ni muntu wanga. So they didn't give him the number. But now what happened was, guys, the same night, MKV was having a show at a place called Breakpoint. And we were going to sample the song where I had featured. So I appeared at that show. Then TK came to support him, to watch him. And he saw me while he was in the audience. And he came to talk to me. He was like, Kansi ndiwe, I know this face. Somewhere. Then I was like, I came to Roma side and recorded a song in 2004. And then also in 2006, last year, you rejected me for Star Stage. You see, what did I say? I was like, you told me that I needed to focus on being a recording artist and not really like a performing artist, because that you said the show, the Star Set was more about performance, and maybe you are not yet at that level. Then I was like, oh, so you see, the advice that I gave you has worked, because I'm just from watching you a good performer. Then he says, you know what, come through to the studio on Wednesday and let's see what we can do. So I went to the studio and we recorded a song called Mpum Pum Pum, and that was it. The rest is history.
Yeah, the rest is history, man. And from that time, I think you've done a number of great things. You've done yourself, you've, I think, marked your territory. Indeed. You've marked your mark, yeah? Now, after telling us about all this, I want us to, talk about the now music, okay? I want us to talk about the bflow now. So, somebody out there doesn't realize what the story that you've said. And when you post something, they'll just come and critique and say, and I see it how you. They'll critique and just say, sevichtika hivi. They don't understand where you're coming from. And they want to stick to the person they had 10 years ago. They don't know that this thing evolves.
We evolve,
I want us to talk about social media. For lack of better terms, bullying.
Yes.
Then briefly, let's talk about your new album. Okay, and then your new track as well. You have a new single off the album. Yeah, we talk about your marriage as well. Is that all right?
Yeah.
All right, we've heard his background. We've heard where he's coming from. We've probably walked with him from where he started to where he is now. Okay, the Pum Pum was the biggest official song that brought him on the scene. And of course, since then, it has been history. And in that history, how many albums so far?
Do I even know the number? Let's see. Pum 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 was the first album. Second album was called No More Kawilo. The third album was called, before No More Kawilo, there was Double Trouble with PJ. Yeah, then there was No More Kawilo. Then there was Voiceless Woman. Then there was Dear Mama. Then there was Sunda Station. So 6 albums. 6
albums to his name. That's bflow. That's huge, man.
Thanks,
and
man.
At least from all these albums, there's been hit songs.
Yeah.
What's your secret?
Wow. The grace of God, man. The grace of God, and just being authentic and true to myself without trying to be like someone else, or without trying to fit in and just move with the trends, because people are making music this way, then I should also make it this way. I just want to stay true to myself and do what I have to do. Of course, like you said, we evolve. As music evolves, we try to evolve, but still stay true to yourself. So I think authenticity has been the secret, but also it's thanks to the love of the fans, because when the fans just love you and they resonate with what you do, I believe you get to stand out. So I think it's the ability to be relatable as well.
Okay.
If you talk about issues that people are truly going through, I think they can easily relate.
Okay. Why haven't you given up? 6 albums to your name. You could have stopped at 1 or 2 or 3. But what has kept you going?
That's a good one. I look at people in their 60s, like let's say Angelique Kidjo.
Yes.
I look at the likes of Kofi Olomide.
I saw him dancing at the Afcon.
Those are our parents, bro, and they're still going strong. Then you are in Zambia, you're just in your 30s, and you start saying that, no, I'm retiring. What do you mean? You cannot retire from your talent, Mark 2. Listen.
You can't retire, DJ Buga.
DJ Buga, you can't retire from a God-given talent. So, no, it's something I laugh with him about.
Okay.
Yeah, so I haven't given up because music is inherent. It's a God-given gift. It's a talent. So giving up is like burying your talent. You go back to the parable of the
coins,
talents,
the talents,
the people who hid and the people who invested and whatever. So as long as I'm alive, I'm here to invest that talent and to invest in that talent. There's no need to give up. And also, when we talk about social media and the bullying, the
I wanted to
trolling,
ask you that. Like, even as you invest in your talent, as you put everything in place just to build your brand, to build your talent, you have social media now that has become as a biggest challenge.
I'm telling you.
Nowadays, for a song to blow, it has to trend.
Yes.
You have to create like a dance. There just has to be
They can
something.
make you twerk, bro.
Are you? That's how crazy the internet has become, bro.
I used to say, nina vi TikToks, nina vi joinako.
But
like
you are forced to, right?
It's enough to have Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. That's it. Bro, I was forced to join TikTok. Before you know it, these people can make you twerk. But I'm like, no, I'm not twerking for you. But yeah, social media is here, and it's the new media. It's a new platform that we're using now to promote music. At the same time, we've got streaming platforms which are also linked to social media. You literally post like a link that takes people to the streaming platform.
So that's where it has helped you now.
Yes. But at the same time, it has also come with its own negative dynamics, like the bullying. The people making memes about you.
Yeah, let me bring you to speed with this. So when you posted your new song, right, in Njelela, the caption there on the video on YouTube says, "After the release of my last album, I received a lot of feedback which helped me prepare for 2024. Some fans felt that I needed to modernize my sound a little, while others said they missed the original bflow style of music. Considering both scenarios, I went back to the drawing board. The wait is over. Here is my first single in 2024. It's called Njelela." Okay, that's what you posted. And then also you posted something like, last year I received a lot of positive criticism about my music. I always appreciate constructive criticism. That's why I went back to the drawing board. My new single, Njelela, in 4 days, is 4 days old, and it has performed really well already. So this was an influence that came from social media.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It was an influence. I remember.
And by the way, there was also negative criticism.
Yes. So this is positive. These are benefits for you. From
yes. Where you focus on the positive and say, you know what? I will go with these people that are telling me like, you are good, but you can work on this and this and this. And then there are also people who just tell you like, just retire away, and you see like way.
That's what made me call you. Let me tell you, that's what made me call you to say, let's have a chat. I remember commenting on your posts. And I really praised you on that post. And people started now attacking you. And then I started attacking me on your post. And I was like, what the hell? What's going on in this place? Can we have order?
Order.
But how are you handling that, man?
So that's what's been happening. And the funny thing about social media is that it's such a new platform that we're all just trying to figure it out. No one prepared us for this.
For social media.
It's the same as fame. No one prepared us for fame. There's no school of fame in Zambia or school of fame anywhere. So fame can literally destroy you if you don't know how to handle it. And so you need to learn on the way. So we've been learning. I've been going through phases where in 2014, 2015, I was in America doing this tour. The whole Obama moment happened.
Mama.
I come back to Zambia. I have some people celebrating me and some people hating on me. I have people saying, how can Obama just call him out of all African artists? Only him. Why him? He's not even that talented. There are people who just come and say, Kapenda na join na Illuminati.
I was going to that as well later on.
Even Obama madingana vile Jay-Z.
And I'm national anthem Beyonce kushanshan kwake. I saw those.
The people who would literally say very hurtful things like, his mother just died recently. Maybe another sacrifice.
You get the
his
point.
friend PJ died. This. Like so many hurtful things where when you sit down, you're like, is this even worth it? Maybe I should just quit this whole music thing. People would say like a lot of things. And then from there, it moved to people making memes about me. These Obama memes that people would make where sometimes it was funny. Where like I have gone for a meeting, I'm with Mampi and Shefi, and we're standing, and so this person who's about to take the picture says, okay guys, are you ready for the picture? Before we are ready, maybe like I'm looking up like this, and they take the picture, and one of those pictures goes viral, and people are saying, look, manzaki vanga na mkamera eva anga na kumamba, so he's thinking about Obama. So, they would make all these memes about, like, several memes.
Yeah.
One day, I have this picture where I'm with Peterson, and I'm showing him something on the phone. And then they caption it at telling Peterson at, waona ukunje ku bedroom kuri Obama na kweve ni nangeni. So like people would just be making all these things to ridicule you and like literally turn you into a joke, right?
But
how I would handle it?
Yeah, that's the question. You understand?
You use the lemons that they throw at you to make lemonade.
But for how long can you do that?
Exactly.
That's the question.
So what I started doing was when they make those memes, I would share them on my page myself. And so the people who are making them would now start saying, we're trying to hate on this guy, but he's having fun with it.
Yeah.
Then eventually they start inboxing me and they're telling me that, to be honest with you, when I made that meme, I wanted to hurt you, but
then you took
the
it.
way you've taken it, I'm sorry, man. You've made me become one of your biggest fans, and then they stopped making the memes. So sometimes that's how you handle it.
Handle pressure, all right.
By just, you can diffuse a bomb by literally just, showing them that, you know what, I'm not someone to hate on. I'm just an easygoing guy and the like. Yeah, but of course we are human beings.
Okay.
Because we are human, it also affects us sometimes. That's why you find some artists, they respond. Others will insult.
Yeah.
Others will literally just employ someone else to handle their social media so that they don't have to look at the comments and you just focus on your creativity.
Is there Illuminati in the Zambian music industry?
There could be, but I don't think so.
Nothing you've come up. Have you ever been approached by any people saying, no, we are from the underworld, we want you to do? Have you been approached like that?
I will tell you, I once had an experience where, not really like underworld, but I learned that people in the Zambian music industry, some people actually do use charms. I've heard stories, but we would hear these stories. But one time, we went to attend a wedding ceremony for a DJ. A DJ friend. So while at his wedding, I was in a group of other artists. We were like 5. Then a certain man just came where we were seated while the other artists went on stage, and then came to talk to the rest of us and said, "Imwe guys, mwamuona mzano ujali pa stage uja. Can you see the way people are cheering for him? It's because tinamchitira something.
Are you serious?
That's why mulo kumalawi simumveka. He said tingakupasa ni vintu vakuti bazakondani na ku Mozambique ku Namibia onani mzano uja. So I was like,
so it could
really?
be real, yeah?
That's interesting. So that's what's happening. Okay. And then I remember one time I was with OC. I think that was like in 2010. And we went somewhere where like fans would just be cheering like, hey, Danny in the car. And then one of the artists we were with there then just says that problem so I heard something like that back then.
Anyway.
And like we keep hearing things even now. So I don't have evidence.
Okay.
But I want to believe that people do use things.
I tell you. Okay. Let's talk about streaming quickly. Have you benefited from online streaming? Have you, money-wise, have you generated income from the online streams? I know it's the way to go now. Everybody's doing it. Everybody is putting their songs on the internet. Have you benefited financially?
Yes, I have. As of 2022, because that's when I literally released the very first project on streaming platforms. Because my first album was on cassette only, tape. Yeah. And then after that, my second album and other subsequent albums were on CD. And then I took like a 7-year break from releasing albums. That's the time I would be traveling around the world and the like, but no releasing music, but just performing and maybe doing other advocacy work, activism work, and humanitarian work. I hope this also speaks to the question you had asked earlier to say what other things does bflow do. And as I was doing all those things, then COVID happened. When COVID happened, I went back to the studio now to record an album. When I was about to release the album, I started calling people who used to make our CDs back then. I'm like, so CDs, Ashanchan. Then only find out, hey, companies like Supershine, they're not there, they're closed. Those are the ones who used to make our CDs.
There's now a university, Supershan University.
Hey,
I don't know, is it the same
yeah.
people?
I don't know. I don't know.
Oh,
maybe.
that should be different people, right?
Then Mondo, all those distributors are not there anymore. So who makes CDs now? They were just gentlemen like Vene Daka, like
Yes, Daka,
is he still making
Richard.
CDs? Richard. Then only to learn that no, actually vija vintu apa stick apa now ni ma flash na ma streaming platform. So I started researching on streaming. Then I learned a lot about, Spotify, about iTunes, Apple Music, Deezer, and all these things. Then I got acquainted and eventually found myself on those platforms, and I was able to put my album there. So my album Sunda Station was on this is on these streaming platforms,
And it has made money.
and every 3 months I'm receiving a check from the
Roughly, how much?
Well, I can't disclose.
No, but I want to know
but,
numbers. Okay, first go check a figure. Choke up a number.
Thousands of dollars.
Thousands of dollars.
Yeah, thousands of
so
dollars.
it is possible to still make money online, you
Yes,
guys.
yes,
it's
it
possible.
It is possible.
Okay.
So streaming is very empowering. The only thing I've seen that is different now is streaming now makes it difficult for you to know who a real artist is and who.
Because you can upload on someone's name.
Yes, and also
How
because
can
someone
we-
because someone
It's
who's
the new
not as
piracy.
talented can literally just someone can just cause a scandal somewhere.
Yeah.
And they are trending. Then they say, by the way, I've got a song, and people go to listen to the song. Not that they love the person, but
Social
because the
media
person is
drama.
trending,
Yeah.
based on social media drama, and everybody gravitates towards that thing. They're just going there. Oh, they can't to a linky, and the so-called algorithm now can literally suggest anything to you, and you click it. When you click it, it counts as a view.
Yes, it
even
does.
if you don't like it.
Yeah, it
But
does.
so now you can't really tell.
Who's
But
really
yeah.
doing what?
But for people that really love music and they go to listen to music on these platforms, it's amazing how someone can make a living off music, and I can attest to the fact that there is money in streaming.
Okay, there's money in streaming. There you have it. If you're an upcoming artist out there,
Yeah.
there's your answer. Okay, there is money in streaming, and people are making money. Not outside, but locally. Artists. bflow just confirmed that. You get a point.
Yeah.
A double check on that. Okay, so do your thing. Take your music. A lot of artists complain now. Hey, so many these are radio. Number music, dollar and
Yeah.
everything. And one guy I need to tell. Okay, Kapande, we need to put that guy. We need to put that guy. Africa, no ID Africa.
Yeah.
Needs to put him on online. Yeah.
Yes.
Endorsements. You've received a number of endorsements.
Yeah.
Okay. The whole time that you've been doing music, you've received a lot of endorsements.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me about how to place yourself as an artist to
Yeah.
receive those kind of endorsements.
Okay. So I earlier talked about authenticity. It's a very important attribute to have as an artist because it makes you stand out. Then brand positioning is also a very, very important aspect. And an example I can give when I say brand positioning is when you look at bflow and the type of brand that I was able to build. When I started doing music, I was doing music like songs like Pum Pum Pum, Energizer, Bubblegum Lava, No More Kawilo, Mosquito, Chantan, like love songs, right? But everybody else was doing love songs. And then I said, what would make me stand out? I identified a topic and a niche. So I knew that, there's something I was truly passionate about, but I can also put it in my music. So when I changed the direction of my music and started singing songs about like Voiceless Woman,
Yes,
Cry of a Woman, something about a woman, that in itself made me stand out because I became different from everybody else. So that created a niche for me. And so whenever there was anything, any program to do with those topics, I would be the go-to artist to say, bring this artist on board, bring this artist on board. So that in itself was me positioning myself in a different way. There's that uniqueness. Then there's also the aspect.
Check that, yeah? Check that.
Yeah. There's also the aspect of protecting your reputation.
Yeah.
I know they say controversy sells, but it can only take you so far. There are certain rooms where controversy cannot
Be tolerated.
be tolerated.
I know, right? I know.
Even like in the corporate world, there are certain corporates,
They even
majority
tell me,
of them.
no.
I've sat in meetings where, because now where I've reached even in my career, I am not just an artist as well. I also sit on boards for some organizations and companies where like I'm a board member.
Are you serious? And
Yeah.
that came through music?
Yes, that came
Boom.
through the power of music, bro.
That's what I want to hear, man.
So I've sat in meetings where I hear they're talking about numbers and they're saying, oh, we want someone with numbers, right? Like they say, oh, we want someone who's got like a following on social media. Can we get some people on board? So we're going to rely on bflow because he's the one who's coming from this industry to suggest names. Then they give me like, oh, give us 10 names. I write down 10 names based on numbers.
Yes.
Like this one has got 1 million followers, this one has got 900 followers, this one has got 800K, this one has got 700K. Then they start debating it and the board says, despite the numbers, the good numbers for this person, we can't have this person because this one just twerks on social media.
And that's the reason
Because
why.
this one undresses on social media.
Yes.
Because this one insults on social media. Because this one is ever fighting with people on social media.
So you get numbers because of the wrong reputations, the wrongdoings. You get numbers. You get the right numbers, and you find that the corporate world are not even endorsing you.
Exactly.
Damn,
so that happens a lot. So protecting your reputation is very important. A good friend of mine, Nabwalia Vlahakis, says,
Big up to Nabwalia.
yeah, she says, pray for your name.
Yeah.
So it's something I also do. I pray for my name so that even when it's being mentioned in those meetings, it should be mentioned in good light. You know, so that's a very important. So a name is a resource in itself. It's something worth promoting and protecting. Even the Bible. Sorry, I keep talking about the Bible.
Why are you apologizing, man?
In fact, I
Come
don't
on.
have to apologize.
Boy, just say it.
I'm
The Bible.
unapologetic about it.
Trust me.
What I
you're saying
mean
my
by
team.
sorry, sorry to those that are not comfortable.
Yes.
For me,
But
I
trust
have
me,
to.
my entire team here is from church.
Thank you. Wonderful.
You get a point.
Wonderful.
You're seeing that guy there is about to be a pastor there.
Ah, nice one.
Kapande
nice
there is about to be a pastor. that one.
Okay, wow, wonderful.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I was just saying sorry for the sake of those that are not comfortable, but for us, because we understand where all the blessings come from, we are proud to talk about God. So for me, I believe that God is at the center of everything that we do. So even when it comes to the Bible says a good name is better than riches. A good name is better than silver and gold. And then also your name will usher you, you know, before kings and queens. When you have a good name, your reputation. Yeah, so a name is something to really, really protect. Make sure that your name is spoken about in good light out there. And that will all be dependent on how you carry yourself, how you present yourself, even how you handle interviews. All these things. So yeah, branding is a very big topic. There are so many things that you need to
look at.
But I think your name, your reputation, even just how you handle your social media. Social media is an outlet that these days people don't even realize that people use to scout for whether it's talent or they're looking for brand ambassadors. So when they look at social media, they will literally look at your social media and see what you post. They say, what does this person post about? They find that you want to post that maybe like Mukole Wanamagaizi,
Beer throughout.
This is happening even in companies when companies are looking for employees, people to
They'll
give
go
jobs.
and
They can look at your social media and say, manje uyu. So just mind what you post on social media. We're not saying you can't socialize or you can't have a social life, but remember that your social media is like a presentation of who you are to the world, because other people won't have access to you.
It's a reflection of who you are.
They'll literally just look you up and
what
say,
you post
what
is a
pops up
reflection.
about G-Wise when we type his name.
Okay, man. Thank you so much. One thing is giving back to the community. What are you doing anything about that? What are you doing in terms of giving back to the community as an artist?
Yeah, so I'm doing quite a lot. So like I sit on a committee of the World Vision Board known as local fundraising.
Now check what I was telling somebody just before you came. I was like, bflow, such a Tegerache music. In terms of funds. Who was I telling? I was talking to somebody here. It was Frederick. Yeah, I was talking to Fred. I was like, he does a lot of things. And you're just confirming that.
Yeah, so like I sit on this committee of the board known as Ministry, Strategy, Ministry and Local Fundraising. And so we are trying to, one of the things we're trying to do is to retrieve girls that have been sent into these like child marriages. by fundraising for them, so that even when you retrieve them from those marriages,
they're stable.
yes, you can still send them to school, or they can start a business or something like that. So we are trying to raise funds locally, because there's also been this notion that in Africa we're always like asking, the outside world for help, but we can also fundraise among ourselves, and that's one of the things we're doing in the community. So I go to refugee settlements, I go to the
no wonder we did
outskirts.
what we did last time.
Yes.
Okay.
So I go to
oh,
all
we
these
recorded
places.
a video together. So,
So yeah, I go to all these places just to go and try to do outreach and encourage people. Sometimes we go to donate things, give relief to people that don't have any access to some of these things. I also volunteer on campaigns like the I Care About Her campaign, where we just go and mobilize men and start having conversations among men about how we can be better people in society, better husbands, better boyfriends, better fathers.
Talking about husbands, you really took your time to get married.
Yeah.
Why was that?
Oh, that's a good one.
You've been famous, you've been all that. I'm sure there are people, bflow, I'm your number one fan.
Yes.
bflow, this. But you took your time to get married. Why was that important for you?
It was important because there's a difference between Brian and bflow. bflow is too famous to a point where now it affects Brian.
Okay.
So what ended up happening was, it was very difficult for me to meet someone who would just love me for Brian and not for bflow.
For bflow,
Because when you're too famous, everywhere you go, the moment they see you, they're already addressing you as bflow, meaning they know who you are, they know what you do. So now you don't know the genuineness. Does this person just love me, or lokapena nikazina che then ashta pretend munga konda brand but akonda bflow, There was that, and initially I had been in a relationship for like quite a long time, and then that relationship didn't end well. Like I experienced like heartbreak. So that also affected me, I'm coming from a background where, like I said, I never had a relationship with my father. So I didn't want to get into anything that is going to compromise even my relationship with my children. I wanted, once I get in, I'm in. So I really wanted stability. Yeah, so I had to take my time, and I felt like I wasn't aligning a lot with the people that I was meeting. So even the traveling also, it kind of affected me. Even when I would meet someone who's good, like maybe this person, we can try something out, but then I would find myself saying, but ungavutseche mwana wabeni wamsia hivi aliku Zambia ulimma traveling like maybe you're traveling together and the like. I was trying to consider all these things. Then eventually I started telling myself that, you know what, maybe there's a reason God has been taking me to all these countries.
Okay.
Why in Europe, Netherlands, but in America, tomorrow I'm in Denmark, tomorrow I'm in Sweden, I'm in Norway, I'm where. I'm like, maybe I have maybe I was just meant to marry Kauku Kumasogolo. So I gave up on love in Zambia because I felt like I just wasn't meeting the one. So I said, you know what, I think I'll meet someone Kumasogolo. So one time, and it's funny that you mentioned the Finnish embassy. Because one day I was at the Finnish embassy attending this event. Then I saw this pretty young lady, and I looked at her. Nisha had given up on love in Zambia.
At that point, mutima wanga mati pum pum pum.
I was like, I literally said, God has a sense of humor. How has he made me admire this one? I'm not supposed to admire someone here, ka? Anyway. Then the ambassador who was giving a speech says, please make sure you greet someone that you don't know, like someone you're just seeing here, like part of networking. Just go and say hi to someone, and then I walked up to this person and just said, oh, hi, my name is Brian, and you are. Then she also tells me her name.
And that's how it started.
Then she asked me, so Brian, what do you do? I was like, okay.
So this is the one who know me from.
Anyway, so that's how the conversation started, and from there, anyway, we got to know each other, and
I feel we need to do a part 2, my brother. Thank you so much. I feel we need to do a part 2. We need to talk more about branding as an artist. We need to talk more about, just how to maintain
Yeah.
I know there are times when you've gone quiet, but you've bounced back and you still
Yeah.
make sense. You're still relevant to the game. We need to
Right.
talk about that
Right.
in the part two. So I'll definitely call on you again.
Nice one.
Yeah, but is there anything that you feel we haven't talked about that you want to bring out?
I think we've pretty much exhausted the important things. Maybe that aspect that you mentioned about like maintaining. Maybe like on the surface, I can just touch on the fact that it's also got a lot to do with also you maintaining your reputation, not compromising, because sometimes there are also temptations where when you look around and see that people who are maybe like controversial or are causing a lot of drama are seemingly popular and they're having a lot of numbers, you can literally say, you know what, first nine in your drama, I mean, you can get tempted and in the end you compromise yourself. But you realize that when you are true to yourself, people just love you for being yourself. It may not look that way, but it's like that. Yeah. So I believe that reputation is just everything in terms of you maintaining and staying relevant.
All right, bflow, thank you so much, man.
Thanks,
I
my
really
brother
appreciate
G-Wise,
Big
for
up
having
to
me.
you. Big up to you. Big up to you.
Cheers.
I hope you've had fun today. I hope you got to know who the real bflow is, the Brian Wembia. Today we went deep to just find out who he is away from the music, and of course we got an insight of where he came from musically, okay, what brought him on the scene, and also just to understand his family background. I think it's something good, something real, okay, trust me, unscripted. And we just had to bring out, I think at some point it was emotional. Trust me, if you go back to this, you realize at some point it was emotional. I really got touched, especially where fathers are concerned. You get a point. And also music. He's a lot of people on social media have thrown stones at him, but how to survive that impact is one thing that you get to learn from bflow today. I'm grateful that he made it to be a part of this show, and of course just to speak to somebody out there and just to give us his story. It's not easy, but yo, we made it. Yeah, bflow was here today, and thank you very much. Today we've been hanging out at this nice and cozy chill spot. It's called the Hangover Pub and Grill, okay, and restaurant. Okay, guys, couldn't see ma? Are we having some shima? Yeah, we'll be having some shima from here today. So I'm really excited. So if you are in Kablonga, along, this is what, Twin Palm Road?
Yep.
Yeah, if you're in Kablonga along Twin Palm Road, there's a place called the Hangover Bar and Restaurant. So when you come here, from beers, okay, shima, food, assorted types of food, okay, different menus. This is the place to be. And I've seen there's a car wash as well. So, you can get your car being washed whilst you are chilling. And this is where we've been hanging out today. I'm grateful for them for, giving us this opportunity to be in their area. Otherwise, as always, thanks to my team, we always, ensure that we give you nothing but the very best of Chit Chat with G-Wise. And of course, I'm your host, G-Wise. Remember to subscribe, share, comment, like, as well as send that comment. We don't know what it is, but we are really advocating for positive, comments on social media. We want to be big on that. Cyberbullying is a crime, so just make sure that, you engage positively with whoever you are engaging. Otherwise, thank you so much for being a part of today's show. Remember, Instagram, Chit Chat with G-Wise. X, formerly known Twitter, Chit Chat with G-Wise. Facebook, Chit Chat with G-Wise. YouTube, Chit Chat with G-Wise. Thank you so much. See you next time, same place, same space.